Starting off the peace talks, let's have a look at something that happened earlier in the week that we've been waiting to talk about because I feel like it just needs to get aired out. So jumping right to it. So a woman was killed. She was shot to death for what? For daring to think homosexuals are human beings. That's all. That's all she did. And somebody else murdered her over it, and we knew this was going to happen. We called Tucker Carlson a stochastic terrorist. We called basically everybody on OAN that because they are that. It is a terrorist network, OAN. It's no different than Inspire, the magazine for Al Qaeda. That did its best to recruit people from English-speaking regions to go become terrorists. What they wanted specifically is known as a lone wolf terrorist. What happens is a stochastic terrorist puts out a message that calls for the harming of other human beings and just assumes that there's going to be somebody out there nutty enough to do it. That's how stochastic terrorism works. Now, if you are doing that and the violence is a byproduct, but what you're actually trying to accomplish is simply to get people to feverishly watch your program, I don't know if you can say that there is a significant difference there. But regardless, the outcomes are exactly the same. These terrorist attacks continue. They continue in the United States and abroad because of these miserable bastards. So, if you happen to be somebody who watches OAN or Fox, understand you are supporting stochastic terrorists. And that is that. It's that, I mean, you have to reckon with that. If you want your opinion to be taken seriously, you have to show at a minimum that you understand what it is you're doing. Let's look at the specifics here. This is from the Daily Cause. The Lake Arrowhead shooter has been identified by the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department as 27-year-old Travis Ikeguchi. He was extremely active in the online right-wing ecosystem of hate in the United States, regularly posting about his far-right extremist beliefs on Gab and Twitter/X. He supported Donald Trump in 2016, but became far more devoted to a Christian nationalist worldview driven by anti-Semitic conspiracy theory culture. Do you understand that it's a culture? It's no different than people that obsess over manga. It's the exact same thing. It's a fad. It's a hobby for a lot of these folks to pretend like they're secretly in their off time, they're secretly battling against whatever they think they can get away with saying Jesus told them to battle against. So who is this woman? We know who Ikeguchi was. He was a bum hanging out on the. You know what? That takes too much respect off of bums. He was a true loser, through and through, who hung out in far right forums. But Ikeguchi fatally shot Laura Ann Carlton, a loving wife and mother of 9. 9 people lost their mother because this guy's hobby meant brutalizing her. That's what his hobby was. Too many people got decided that there wasn't anything wrong with just contributing a couple of views to Tucker Carlson. and 9 people lost their mother. That wound will never heal. He shot Laura Ann Carlton for having a pride flag in support of LGBTQ plus rights at her clothing store Magpie in Cedar Glen, California, 2 hours east of Los Angeles. He spouted anti-LGBTQ plus slurs and hate speech during the incident, as he regularly did on social media. After fleeing the scene of the murder, he was confronted and killed by police in a shootout. The killing comes in the midst of a Republican-led wave of anti-LGBTQ plus radicalism gripping Southern California. For those following these recent political attacks against this community, the rhetoric on Travis Ikeguchi's online profiles was extremely familiar. It's clear that Ikeguchi's worldview was influenced by the far-right media landscape that has been relentlessly targeting LGBTQ plus existence. I want to remind you now that this is all over the type of sex somebody prefers. In all meanings of the word. Literally, the way they prefer to have sexual intercourse. Can you imagine if you were one of the folks who was just kind of okay with this? Imagine if somebody attacked you because you like to have sex badly. Whatever your preference is. You know, pretending women don't have orgasms and all that. Imagine somebody physically attacked you over that. It's the world we're living in. It's something we have failed to be properly ashamed of. That's not what I meant to click, but there is something we can do, even though this is peace talks. We'll talk about this in particular. But first, I actually do want to talk about what we can do. If you see somebody in your neighborhood flying a pride flag, don't let them stand alone. Start there. No pride flag should stand alone. Just like no homosexual person should have to worry that they're alone in the community. Not their community, the community. Immediately stand with them. The next psycho that comes by better bring enough bullets for 2. Stand with anyone flying a pride flag. There's a moral obligation, too. There's more, certainly. We have to be aggressive. It's not enough just to be better at defense. We do need to be better at defense. That store shouldn't have been as easy to target. As soon as one flag went up, the block should have been a beautiful, waving rainbow. There's more aggressive things we should do, though. We cannot, for example, allow the stochastic terrorists that have been pushing this to exist anymore. We cannot have a Fox organization calling itself news. We cannot have OAN in existence anymore. They have been pure filth designed only to harm. They are they're the propagandistic wing of a criminal organization that calls itself the Republican Party. And we've allowed a fancy title to make us ignore the reality of their behavior. The reality of their behavior is they're violent criminals who steal money from us and distract us in the most gruesome way possible, which is by making sure that minorities and children get killed regularly enough that we're too busy dealing with that to stop them from thieving. That's who we're dealing with. Don't let the fact that they use the wafer thin cover of being a political party or a news organization to distract you from the reality.